Mr. President and my dear colleagues, and I represent Bayalsa West. Firstly, I want to commend the very thorough work done by our committee that has been presented to us, and also commend the efforts of distinguished Senator Adebule, who raised this as a very urgent matter and indeed a very serious issue of national concern. Mr. President, general comments and then few remarks on the recommendations. The crisis facing our educational system is at the core of insecurity, is at the core of leadership failure, is at the core of a lot of issues affecting the development of this country. And one of the most important contributions this Senate can make in our national development efforts is to ensure that we get to the root of this. Not just addressing the issue of out-of-school children, which is very important, but also the crisis facing the educational system generally. All of us who went to schools 30, 40, 50 years ago know the kind of education that was available for the rich as well as the poor. There was a time when students from all over Africa and even beyond took pride in coming to this country to attend our universities, primary, secondary, and tertiary. So, Mr. President, as we discuss this issue, let's not limit our contributions only to the issue of out-of-school children. Very important, but we should use this opportunity, in my view, to undertake a comprehensive overview of the crisis facing our educational system. And bearing in mind the fact that, rightly so, in our federal system, the issue of education is on the concurrent list. Yes, it's on the concurrent list. So there's not much really by way of legislative intervention that we can do. Yes, we have a role to play, and which is why in the area of recommendation, Mr. President, I think we should not get tired. We should rise to the occasion and have a conversation with the leader of the executive arm. I suggest that the time has come, if it's not even too late, but it's never too late to try. We should move for a national conference, kind of. Maybe not a conference, but a summit. We need a summit where you have the stakeholders at the sub-national levels. And it will be nice, Mr. President, if this Senate and the National Assembly under your leadership will take the lead in this. Because this issue is at the core of the insecurity. For those of us who have had an opportunity to serve at other levels, we know the differences we made by investments in education, by building schools as we did, by introducing even boarding schools for the first time for some of us as I did, by introducing the Tertiary Education Loans Board, which happily Mr. President has replicated at the federal level. That's why I enthusiastically supported it. By introducing the Education Development Trust Fund in my state, where a compulsory levy was put, and the various schools, primary, secondary, and making even feeding, even clothing free in those schools.
30 seconds left.
So this is with what we have. We know what investing in education can do beyond putting people in schools, beyond building manpower beyond creating future qualified, competent leaders, we are also addressing insecurity security problems. So my suggestion, lastly, before I take my seat, Mr. President, is that you should lead, have a conversation with the president and address, it's already starting to address it by the Students' Loan Board, which is going a long way in enabling students to access education. But let us have a summit where the governors, who are the heads of the sub-regional levels, will also be there with their own commissioners and policy makers, so that we can formulate a coherent national strategy. And then we can, as Senate President Emeritus said, back it up with appropriate legislation. Right now, there are states, unfortunately, in this country, unfortunately, where even with the monies available in UBEC, they can't pay their counterpart funds to access. This country has a framework for managing most of these things. But look at the UBEC funds. There are some states, incidentally, those are the states that are highly even implicated in the area of communal crisis and insecurity and banditry and so on. Because there's a clear link between investing in education and stability of our communities and our society and our country also. So, Mr. President, I think this is beyond education. It's beyond out of school children. You should take the lead and let the president be briefed and the state governors, so that we can all sit down as a country and fashion out an educational system that will work for all of us. Thank you very much.
I do appreciate, but let us try and about out of school children. So we should try to limit ourselves to out of school children. DSP, I know when you raise your hand, I must recognize you. But Olamileko was the first. Since, do I have your permission to recognize it? Okay, granted. Olamileko.